Okay. So, welcome all. Today, you have taken 1 hour of your Sunday afternoon to come with us, and I'm glad to share that this is our first official Shineco's webinar, and we have with us a special speaker who will be talking about balancing college life or different life juggles that we do, and how to make good habits during this journey. I am the Panshi Bansal, founder of Shineco, and today I'll be facilitating the session along with Mark as the speaker. And I would like to start with quoting one of the famous stars, Dwayne, who has said that the first step to achieving your goal is to take a action, take a moment to respect that goal and know what it really means to you to achieve it. And this is all what the webinar is all about: how you could achieve your goals and take that first step in this journey. And within this 1 hour, it's not only listening, but actually taking that action to be closer to your goal. I would like to share that whatever you're going to learn today, that is something I have implemented myself with what Mark has taught me or told me and helped me execute in my life, and it has changed the way how I used to approach things in within 2 months. So I'm really excited. And as I mentioned before, this will be an interactive session. So try to have a setup which wherein you could maybe unmute yourself and speak up if you're comfortable. If you're not, then you can use the chat window to express any of the answers or prompts that will put on the screen. Um, and if you want to write something, just bring a pen and paper on which you can express, and write the prompts. And be honest with yourself when you are interacting. So now is the time. I will introduce Mark Lichman, who is a Tiny Habits coach and one of the coaches at Shineco. He is coming with 20 years of experience in corporate as a product manager, as a project manager, as a founder, and whatnot. He has worked in different areas, including physics, healthcare, wellness, leadership, etc. He is currently chiming in from California, but as he mentioned himself, that he has lived in Massachusetts before, so he is one of those who has lived the life of both East Coast and West Coast US. Um, so he's one of the coach who is very calm and composed, very focused, and students who have matched with him have really enjoyed and benefited meeting with him one on one and continued the coaching sessions with him. I'm super excited to have him with me on this webinar. And from here, Mark, the stage is all yours.
All right. So glad you all could make it. We're going to try to take the first steps in the next part of your journey today during this workshop. So I'm guessing for a lot of you, this is probably not your first workshop. So the first thing what I want to mention is that if you've struggled with balancing school life, with creating intentional healthy habits in the past, it's not really your fault. There's a lot of information out there. It can be really confusing. A lot of that information that we do get is actually outright wrong, and a lot of the advice that we get from social media, from movies, is actually kind of harmful. So if you're concerned that it's just not possible to balance all of these things, I want to try to put those first to rest for you. You can do this. You just need the right strategy, and we're gonna help you do that. So many of you think that the only option might be to give up. You know, you've got those all-star fit students all around you who feel like they've got it all figured out. They naturally get up at 5 in the morning. They do a workout. They do 2 hours of studying before their first period, and you may feel like you're the only one struggling, but you're not. If you've ever thought that there was something missing in the way that you're approaching the school life, your health, you're probably right. A lot of the methods that we're taught are kind of the go big or go home, and that's an outright harmful message. Our world loves to talk about these huge overnight successes, and we forget that overnight successes are built of tiny steps along the way. So we really care about your success and we truly want to see you succeed. So let's try to get that started like right now. So that's what we're here for. I know you have a vision to be healthy, productive, energetic, and most importantly, maybe joyful each day. And we want to show you how to make that happen during this workshop. So first, I'll start off with sharing a little bit of my own story. I apologized for the shirtless photos. I'm still a little bit embarrassed about this photo, but this is where I was a few years ago in 2021. I was I kind of went through a little bit of a quiet quit at my workplace. It was feeling kind of easy for me. It was a little boring. I was kind of disengaged. I wasn't really connected to what I was doing. Um, and that's when I started to take this journey for myself. So the first thing I started with was the physical, because your physical is your foundation. It really creates the root to the rest of your energy centers. And when you get the physical engaged, the mental comes with it. So it's if you want to start with the mental, that's perfectly fine too. Like the mental and the physical are intimately connected. And I did this with little small stages along the way because you change best by feeling good. Like you don't want to try to fight through something that feeling bad. For me, I was fighting, over 2 decades of bad habits that I had built up along the way. 2 decades of bad habits is not going to change overnight. And even if it's just a few years of bad habits, it takes time to rewire yourself. Like you're not trying to go from, you know, uh, being sedentary and disgruntled and maybe a little frustrated to being energetic and enthused overnight. It takes time. It takes a little bit of intention, and it also takes a little bit of forgiveness and gentleness on yourself throughout the process. All right. So this was kind of part of my journey. This is actually my Fitbit data from the time, I started off close to almost at 190. I was actually a little higher than this. The data when I started wasn't recorded because I hadn't started recording yet. So you can see there's a lot of bumps along the journey. This is not a smooth curve. There are times, some weeks just don't work out. And you look at those weeks and you say, okay, there's some elements where I got tempted to fall back to previous behaviors. And you take the judgment out of those weeks and you say, okay, let me make some little tweaks and just keep at it. All right. So a lot of you got into school to do what you're studying for lots of different reasons, right? So the first question is, are you the same person that you were, 5 years ago? I'm certainly not the same person I was when I was a teenager or when I was an undergrad. A lot has changed along the way. And for a lot of us, of course, you're not the same person you used to be. Um, so the question is, can you direct your own growth moving forward intentionally instead of accidentally? I know, I got from where I was as a teenager to where I am today kind of accidentally. Some of it was intentional, but I certainly didn't think about it in terms of mental and physical habits. It was just what lit me up that year. Maybe I worked on it, I tried it, but it wasn't always intentional. A lot of times it was accidental. So can we make this process intentional? So a lot of times the first thing you want to start with is actually observation. Um, We get so rooted and grounded in our daily habits that we forget about them. I know for me, one of the things that I did, every time I walked into the kitchen, that triggered this almost automatic response in me. Like, I walk into the kitchen, I'm going to get a snack. I didn't get a snack because I was hungry. I got a snack because associated that walking into the kitchen with getting a snack. Um, So you really need to observe those little subtle habits. We all have them. And by the way, sometimes they're internal too. Like for example, if somebody says something negative about a public figure, like I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna trigger some of you. So trigger warning. Like if somebody goes up and says, "I love Elon Musk," Or I love Trump. Like that may trigger a negative response of you emotionally. And it doesn't matter whether I believe it or not. Like, but that negative response, that's a habit. Can you take in that information with no judgment? Which, by the way, will make both of you feel better if you can respond to that without the judgment. And that is a slow process that takes consistency. It's not something that you can do and overcome with that kind of intense focus. You can't do it with a big push. You can't do it with a grind mentality. You have to do it with consistency and grace. You know, don't judge yourself. And a lot of times, the first person we have to stop judging is ourselves, by the way. And that's also, again, a process of observing, like, what am I judging? What is causing me to make judgments? There's probably something in your system that's actually frequently triggering you. Can you look at those things that are triggering you and maybe move them out of the way? Sometimes it's as simple as, going and seeing your phone on the table and wanting to reach for your phone. Okay, what happens if you don't see your phone? So that's just a couple of things to think about. So a lot of the reasons why most habits fail, and this is, by the way, from the research of BJ Fogg, who is a well-published academic from Stanford. He wrote a book called Tiny Habits, which a lot of you have probably heard of Atomic Habits. Tiny Habits is actually the root of Atomic Habits. It's the academic research that motivated Atomic Habits. So the principle here is that our motivation on a day-to-day basis naturally wavers. So if you feel like you've had a motivation challenge, that's just being human. Motivation goes up and down all the time. And when our motivation is super high, we can do things that are really hard for us. So the trick is when your motivation is super high, you're ready to do something that's hard for you. Don't just go out and do the thing that's hard for you. Try to come up with a plan that you can do even when your motivation is really low. That's the principle of keeping it tiny. So we want to come up with actions that are easy for us to do and put us above this action line, even when our motivation is low. Any questions about this? Is this making sense for you all? So let me see. I see there was a comment here. Beautiful. Yes, I'm glad it resonated with you. Ha- uh, can you help me with your name, Madhurima?
Sure, it's Madhu, Madhu.
Madhu, thank you. All right. So I'd like for y'all to try to start thinking of your behaviors as a accumulation of your past selves. And the you from last year is a different person. Think of yourself as like this year, as the you from this year, as like a totally different person than you were last year. You have a set of habits that you're confronting. Yes, you're inheriting all the habits from your past selves. But that doesn't define you, right? You can become who you want to be in 2025 with little steps. So I want you all to get ready to have something to write on, and if you want to type, that's okay. I do encourage the physical process of writing. That physical connection solidifies it a little bit stronger in us, but if you are more connected to the keyboard, that's fine too. All right, Dee, go ahead. So take a moment to think about what are the things that you want to try to achieve in 2025? What do you want to start working on tomorrow? Do you want to start going to the gym? Do you want to start eating a little bit healthier? Do you want to get better at studying more consistently? Do you want to stop procrastinating? You know, so let's take about, oh, I don't know, uh, a minute or so here, or maybe 30 seconds. So Dee, if you want to set a timer for, let's say, 30 seconds, I'm gonna go quiet and give you all some time to write.
Anyone who would like to share what did they think about in the last 1 minute about new habits they want to create, or what's really blocking them from new habits?
Yeah, so I don't mind going. Hi everyone, my name's Dylan, and as for a new habit that I want to create, I put like working out like between schoolwork, like in my room. Just it's a casual way to just get good muscle flow, good blood flow going in and getting workouts in like efficiently while not being able to like if you don't have enough time to dedicate like being able to go to the gym. So this is something that I've been implementing for the past couple of weeks and that I want to reinforce. Just simply doing push-ups or some pull-ups or some crunches, whatever really works. And yeah, definitely want to keep on creating it and expanding off of it.
Amazing, Dylan. Workouts are really one of the funny things because a lot of people go in thinking, oh, I'm going to start doing an hour workout at the gym starting tomorrow, even though I've been sedentary for the last 2 years. But you know what's really funny about that is like if you do two push-ups, it's better than doing zero push-ups. So exactly like you say, doing a couple of squats or crunches is much better than doing nothing. Um, so you don't have to go to the gym, start going to the gym for an hour every day, like immediately.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
All right. So let's take a look at what makes a good habit. Um, so first off, you want to try to build habits into your existing routine as much as possible. So you want to start with a prompt. So I think like Dylan mentioned, when you walk out of class, doing, I don't know, two squats is a great example. So every if you're a student today, you almost certainly go to classes. You probably have to walk to a lot of those classes. You probably have to walk out of those classes. So when you walk out of a class is a great first prompt that's built into your existing routine. And doing a couple of squats during that time, also great, totally achievable. Now, the nuance here is you've probably heard that it takes 21 days to build a habit. Well, that's not true. There's actually no science behind that. There was a paper that anecdotally shared a correlation that, oh, a lot of the people that we worked with to build these workout habits with, that was a workout habit paper, happened to take 21 days. But they made no claim that there was an actual connection between the 21 days and the new habit started. So the thing that actually builds your habits much faster is creating an emotional connection to the new behavior. So what do we mean by emotional connection? An emotional connection is something that makes you feel good. Uh, BJ likes to say it's something that creates shine for you. So what you can do, let's stick with our walking out of class and doing two squats. The celebration after that is going to be something that makes you smile. So an example, I'll just do it with the glasses off, is, and of course, do this within your comfort level. If you're brave and you're okay with doing something goofy is almost guaranteed to make you smile. So you can close your eyes and imagine fireworks going off in your head and do fireworks fingers. So actually, if you all can go ahead and give that a try. We're going to practice more celebrations later, and I'm going to ask you to turn your cameras on, please, when we do that. But without cameras, now is fine. Close your eyes, imagine fireworks going off in your head, and make little fireworks fingers with them. And I hope some of you noticed it's almost impossible to do that without putting at least a little bit of a smile on your face. If you do it in public, there's no way you can do it without smiling. Uh, and you start to build the connection between doing the two squats and that smile. That creates the emotion. That will build these kind of habits super, super fast. And it's also the hardest step for most people is getting yourself to celebrate. Because we're kind of wired to only celebrate big wins, but actually celebrating these little tiny wins gives you better results much faster, and it helps to keep the joy in the process. All right. Any questions about this? Okay. Because I'm going to ask you all, this is a workshop. This is not just me talking. At least I hope not. So thank you, Dylan, for having the first word. I encourage others to join in as well. Um, I'm going to try to have you create habits like this, similar to the example below, as we go. So start thinking about a kind of habit you might want to create. Okay. Go ahead, Dee. All right, so actually, and I need to pull up my copy of this. So let's take a moment to kind of brainstorm. So think about some prompts that might work for you. And I apologize, I'm looking on my other screen so I can type. Okay, so either go ahead and go off mute and call out some prompts that might work for you or type them in the chat. Let's come up with a couple of these.
I can go first. I think one of the prompts could be after I wake up in the morning.
Okay.
And the behavior could be I'll take a picture of from my window.
Hmm. So,
Celebration piece is difficult.
so sorry?
Celebration piece is difficult. So, like the purpose of this habit is to wake up rather than snoozing my alarm.
Oh, okay. So this is to encourage you to actually get up instead of snoozing the alarm.
Yeah. So, how should I celebrate it? Do you have any recommendation or just to help me, think about small celebrations?
So you've gotten up, you've taken a picture from the window, right?
Hmm.
So your body's probably not quite ready to do anything super physical just yet, and
Hmm.
you're probably still a little bit sleepy. So for your celebration here, we probably wanted something that helps you wake up and create that little sense of light. So I would suggest do a celebration where you literally imagine creating a little bit of light. So imagine you lifting the sun up. So your celebration could be, imagine holding the sun in your hands and just close your eyes and lift it up like this. And add a little bit of a stretch and just picture the sun right there at the top of your hands. I don't know if you could see that.
Oh, yeah, I know. That sounds beautiful.
So, one of the nuances here is a lot of times these prompts can be hard to remember. So, if, like, for example, after I wake up in the morning, my guess is that you'll probably forget to do that, Dee. So,
Okay.
can you make this so specific that it's almost impossible to forget?
After I see my alarm on my phone, can that, will that make more sense?
Okay. How about after
I
I,
pick my phone in the morning. I'm sure that's the first thing I do.
how about after you swipe the alarm off?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, and yes, that's a great question in the chat about how do you stop it from feeling forced. And I'm just going to tell you, it's going to feel forced at first. One of the ways you stop it from feeling forced is that is one where actually the repetition helps. And if you have little moments that have brought you joy historically, bringing those into mind can also help. Like if there's some kind of food that you really like, maybe I don't know if we have any Naruto fans out there, but maybe you really like ramen. So you don't have to actually eat it, right? Your celebration could be, oh, I'm gonna pinch these chopsticks and put some ramen into my mouth. Just a visual. Something where you already have an association of joy is the best way to build your celebration so it doesn't feel quite as forced.
Yeah, I think this reminded me of an instance when you first talked to me about this, and I started connecting it with my daily routine. I started going out, and my way of celebration was if I am working, like if I'm walking or running outside, while coming back, I'll award myself with a coffee or a healthy drink or something to eat before stepping back in the house.
Yeah, that's great. Ideally, a celebration is something that will take 30 seconds or less.
Okay.
But a reward is perfectly fine too. But I'm not going to get into the sociology or the behavioral science of it. But these, there are all sorts of definitions here. So that is technically a reward, not a celebration,
Mhm. Got it.
which is
Any
okay too. Yes.
And anyone else who would like to share their prom's behavior or celebration?
Um, like for the prompt, you could say like after finishing a workout,
Okay.
and like the behavior you can do like after that is take like a progress picture in the mirror or something. Just like
Oh, okay.
and like your celebration could just be like, I mean, like feeling gratitude for like the progress that you're making, and like since you're taking like a progress picture, like after every workout, you can like see like the continued progression and like how you're improving in the gym and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Like I just don't know how to like phrase that into like a proper like like a phrase for like a celebration.
Yeah. So I love the thoughts here, Vinay. And by the way, one of the benefits of you sharing this is you also get some free coaching and a little bit of tweaking because there can be a lot of nuance here in this. So, uh, one of the things that I like to default to with some of these celebrations is gratitude, right? Because you're not always going to feel like you've made progress in the gym. And if you're actually honoring where your body is, as somebody who's had two gym injuries over the last 3 years, um, you can't always push. Your body's not always ready to. It's going to depend on how much food you've had, how much sleep you've gotten the night before. Sometimes you don't want to push because, especially I'm like 48 now. By the way, the before and after, that was me when I started going to the gym when I was 46, and my after is when I was 48. So you can still start these behaviors even when you're quite a bit older. It's even better if you start it when you're 20s. But anyway, so a good celebration here would be just taking a moment of gratitude and thanking your body for being able to move like that, period. Thank you, like a celebration there would be, thank you, body, for what you did in the gym today. And it doesn't have to be a mantra like that. Make it your own, because it's got to resonate with you. But that like little moment of gratitude for the celebration. And okay, yes, I know this is a little cringy, but you can almost give yourself a little hug. And it can be a mental hug if you don't want to do it in public, just to thank your body for where you are. You didn't get injured. That's always something to be grateful for at the gym. Uh, you you did what you could. Does that make sense, Vinay?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Mubashir in the chat. Do you want to quickly take that up, Mark, and we can move ahead?
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna read it aloud. But if I try a celebration and it doesn't feel rewarding enough, how do I know when to tweak it and try something else? Okay, yes, that's a fantastic question. Uh, so rewarding enough is like this. it's a little bit of an abstract. Like the celebration has to make you feel shine. It has to make you feel good. So there's a difference between that positive emotion and feeling rewarded. You don't have to feel rewarded. You just have to elicit something that makes you feel like a positive emotion. And ideally, there's some things in your life that already feel like that. Maybe, for a lot of us, we are wired to smile when we see a baby smile. So maybe that could be your celebration too. Just imagine a little baby smiling. The celebration doesn't have to be directly connected to either the prompt or the behavior. And how do you know when to tweak it? Well, if you stop feeling that little bit of shine, tweak your celebration. And there are going to be, and you have to tailor the celebration to the level of difficulty for you. So actually, Dee, if we can go back to the behavior model briefly.
Are you talking about this graph?
Yes, that's the one, right. So if the thing that you're trying to do requires a lot of motivation and feels really hard for you to do, um, even if it's a really small step, that's going to take more emotional investment into it. It'll take more of a reward. Um, so like let's say you've resisted going and doing a workout for the last 4 years. You keep telling yourself that you want to do it, but you haven't actually done it. That means it's hard for you to do. So there's a bunch of different strategies here. You could make it smaller. Maybe just putting on your running shoes is enough. And just start really small. And then like just start associating the good feelings and the celebration with the starter step. So just if you start feeling good just putting on your running shoes, you're much more likely to go out and do a little bit of jog. You don't have to wait until you've done the jog to do the celebration. The celebration is right at the start. It's that little starter step. Does that help at all?
Yes, thank you, Mark. It was really helpful.
Great. So now is the time where I'm going to ask you all to go off camera if you're in a situation where you can do that. And we're going to practice doing a celebration together. And it might feel a little bit forced and contrived, and that's okay. We're trying to get you over that hump of having it feel forced because the emotional connections are what make all of this effective and work really well. So I'm going to give you all a few seconds. I'm going to give you the celebration this time. And if you've got your own, I will encourage you to share it and do it on camera. So, you know, I can't quite share my camera, but okay, I'm going to do one that's goofy and a little bit cringy from all of your teenagers. So I'm going to ask you all. Thank you for going off camera for the ones who did go ahead and do that. So just let's go ahead and picture a time maybe from high school when you did a little bit of a cringy dance move, and we're just all gonna dab. Do you folks remember how to dab? So if you don't, the dab is this, right? You don't have to close your eyes. So on the count of three, everyone who's on camera, please do a little dab for me. Ready? One, two, three. All right. Does anybody have a celebration that they might want to share?
Yeah, for sure. So I think for me, I I didn't quite realize that I do this until you started like mentioning like these little like the celebrations and like gratitude afterwards. But I do realize that like every time that like I finish like an exercise or like piece of work or whatever I'm really doing, either like literally like I'm like I feel relieved, and I'm just like I grasp my hand. I'm like this. Like I didn't really realize that I do that, but it's like, oh, okay, like that's why it feels so good. Like I have like a physical connection to it, like and emotional as well as like you were saying. So I thought that was interesting, and that might be insightful.
Amazing. Love it, Dylan. Uh, maybe we can practice doing yours as well. Does anybody want to try the fist pump, or do you want to share it with us, Dylan, and show us?
Yeah, I mean it's small, it's subtle, it's just like yeah, it's just like a little personal, like nothing crazy, but hey, I mean, however much like we feel are in tune, I'm down to do whatever.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Dylan. Okay, so we're going to get into breakouts where, again, I know it's a larger group. If you didn't want to go on camera for the larger group, fine. Please do try to go on camera for at least the small.